go keto or go home.
Nice. Some people say that the ketogenic diet is just for the clinically obese or diabetic, that you can't build muscle with keto, that you can't work out without carbs, that you can't eat delicious meals while staying lean year round. Well, meet Jason Wittrock, the Keto King. He's an ambassador for bodybuilding.com, a fitness model, a coach, and an athlete. Clearly, he's doing something right, and that's what we'll be talking about in today's Body Mind Empowerment podcast. I'm your host, Siim Lund.
Yo.
But now, let's delve into the dark side of the fitness industry. Body Mind Empowerment.
Get stronger, faster, smarter, quicker, friendlier, more helpful, more driven.
Everything the body needs.
Control your mind.
Today we have the Keto King himself on the show, Jason Wittrock. Jason, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me. My pleasure, bud.
Nice. And for those of you who don't know, then Jason is a fitness model. He's a YouTuber, social media influencer, an athlete, and a father as well. So why don't we just start off with your journey on the ketogenic diet? What got you started?
Yeah, sure. So I've tried just about every single diet since I was about 12 years old, growing up as a wrestler. And when I got into the fitness industry, there was a lot of pressure to stay in shape year round. And I'd always cut carbs because the secret to losing weight, as I found out, was not calories in, calories out. It was controlling carbs. And every photo shoot I went on, every bodybuilding show, every prep for every single thing I did in the fitness industry required me to cut carbs. The problem with that was it was very hard to sustain. And so eventually I'd come across the ketogenic diet working with kids with mental illness. It was completely new and different to everything I had learned growing up, everything the fitness industry was telling me. All of a sudden I was, expected to increase my fat intake. So I just took the leap of faith. I tried the ketogenic diet. All of a sudden, it was literally the best thing ever because I was able to cut carbs and have energy. So that's kind of why I started using the ketogenic diet, just to make my career and my life much more easy to sustain. And the good thing about when I got on the ketogenic diet, I no longer felt like I was suffering, which to me was very important. So I can, continue to stay in shape year round and not suffer. So sign me up, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Like, I totally agree with you on the part that when you're into like working out and fitness in general, then you wouldn't expect that keto could work. You wouldn't expect that you could sustain your workout routine without carbs, and it's kind of a paradigm shift. Yeah,
it is big time, and it's risky for somebody like me as well. I mean, you got to understand at that time and still to this day, my paycheck depends on being in the best shape of my life. Yeah. And so when somebody says, hey, you should have 75% of your calories from fat, you need to be eating things like butter and sour cream and cheese and avocados and steak and eggs and all this stuff, you freak out. You're thinking, wow, this is either going to be the best thing ever or I'm going to lose my job.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and the doctors, they're not helping either,
Yeah, exactly. And then you got them telling you you're going to have a heart attack if you keep putting butter in your coffee. And so you just have to kind of forget about everything you know and learned and be open-minded and kind of take the plunge. And that's what I did, and it ended up paying off big time for me. So now I feel like I have a competitive advantage over all the people in my industry.
Yeah, exactly, because it's becoming more and more popular amongst
yes, it is.
All sorts of people, like athletes and sedentary people.
Yeah.
So
yeah, in my industry especially, because in the fitness industry, everybody is big time afraid of fat. Yeah. And so now all these competitors are starting to realize that they can increase their healthy fats, and it's a good thing for them.
Yeah. So do you think like it could work for everyone?
Oh, yeah. I've seen it work for everyone. No doubt about it. Young people, old people, people who are sick, people who are already healthy, people who want to lose weight, people who want to build muscle, people who just, fight depression, people who fight cancer, people who have diabetes. It's the cure. It's almost unbelievable how many things the ketogenic diet is being used for and how many different people from all different walks of life that it touches. And that's why it's becoming so big and so powerful, is people are literally, it's not even just a diet where you're just losing weight. I mean, you're changing everything, your mental and your physical health, and it can't be matched.
People think that keto is some sort of fad, that, you know, it's, you know,
Yeah,
like
let
rebounding of the fact that it's not a fad, you know.
It's not a tumor.
Hey, it's not a fad if they're using it to cure cancer. And I'll tell you this right now, it's not a fad. If it is a fad, it's been around since the 1920s. It just got suppressed by big business and big government and the sugar industry.
Yeah.
But how are you going to call it a fad when it was created as a way to help treat seizures in children with epilepsy? That's not a fad. That ain't no fad.
Yeah.
That's a life-saving medical application of diet. And so if people want to think it's a fad, then all the power to you, you know.
Yeah.
I've never done a fad diet for 2 years. Let me put it that way.
Yeah, but and to not to mention also the fact that it quite literally changes the metabolic state of your body. You know, you're either
Exactly.
in ketosis or you're not. It's quite binary in a sense that.
Yeah. When I think of fads, I think of just diets that follow some kind of societal belief, some kind of like dogma, some, you know, or some crazy eating thing. This is going back to our roots, eating things like butter and steak and avocados, nuts and seeds. You know, the basics are
Kind of the
fundamental.
original human diet in a sense.
Yeah, we're not out eating anything crazy. We're just out eating what we're supposed to be eating.
Yeah, but at the same time, you can't say that all carbs are bad, and that
That's true.
that we did involve to eat some fruit and grains and starchy tubers such as that, but it's, you know, seasonal and cyclical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's very true. And if you have insulin resistance and you gain weight easily, even though we might have evolved to eat that stuff, I highly recommend you avoid it.
Yeah.
Like, you can say we evolved to eat grains and starches and fruits and things, but unfortunately, like I said, if you're trying to lose weight, those things are not going to help you out. I do believe that obviously vegetables are good carbs, nuts are good carbs. So yeah, there are good carbs. It's just the refined grains, the starches and the sugars that is the problem for most people.
Yeah, and one of your coaching programs is actually about the cyclical ketogenic diet as well. So what
That's
are
correct.
your experiences with this type of eating?
Well, my perspective has changed. I wrote that program about 2 years ago, and you know, when I first got into the ketogenic diet, nobody was doing it. It was nowhere near what it is right now. The idea I'd even be doing a podcast with somebody like you 2 years ago would have been a non-existent possibility. I literally felt like I was alone. And so I kind of thought, you know, I want to make sure that I take this diet to the people and give them a way to make it sustainable. Because I knew in my heart, yeah, keto is great. It's the best diet on earth. Carbs are the devil and they make you fat and kill you. But I'm not going to never have pizza again the rest of my life. Let's be honest. Like, I want to take a realistic and practical approach because I know a lot of the people I deal with, you know, they have lives. They have their fathers, husbands. They want to go out with their kids on the weekends. They go on vacations. And so I wanted to kind of encourage them to know that you can do a cyclical approach, meaning you can have carbs, you know, every 2 or 3 weeks and it ain't going to kill you. It's going to be fine. You just get back into the game. So that's essentially was my premise with the cyclical approach. It was interesting because I was recommending, you know, you have a full carb day, like once every 3 weeks, and you just get to eat whatever you want that day. And for a lot of people it worked, but then for a lot of other people it didn't work. A lot of other people would take their carb day. They'd go back to the carbs. You got to understand, Simland, you do know this. Carbs are like drugs, man, period, straight up. They hit the same part of your brain as cocaine. And when you pull them away, the body will fight you like hell to get them back. And so when you kind of kick your addiction for 3 weeks and then all of a sudden somebody says, hey, you can have your drugs back for a day, a lot of people have an emotional, very difficult time getting back on the train the next day. You know what I mean? Like, it's like they're in the gutter again. And so I've kind of shifted my approach, my strategy for myself and for others, and kind of scaling it back and just saying you can have a cheat meal, but you don't want to schedule it. The idea now for me is go as long as I can in ketosis, 50 days, 60 days, who knows, however long I can. And then if I want to take a cheat meal or if I feel like taking one, I'll take one, and that's it. End of story.
Yeah, exactly. Like at first you do the ketogenic diet and then you discover, oh, I can do some carb refeeds as well without, you know, being negative influence. And then you start, you know, pounding in some ice cream, some pizzas. these
Yeah,
massive cheat days.
it's a slippery slope. And then,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a slippery slope. But people do need to understand that you don't have to live the rest of your life in ketosis. You can pop out for a meal or two and then just enjoy life.
Yeah.
You know, the average person here in America gets 400 grams of carbs every single day.
That's crazy. Yeah.
So if I take in 50 grams once every month or once every 3 weeks, I'm good.
Yeah. Exactly.
So,
And
but it's all about staying mentally strong in those situations. That's going to determine whether it's a good idea or a bad idea.
yeah, and I also like to think that it's actually beneficial for your metabolism to get kicked out of ketosis so that you would maintain the ability to burn carbs as well and to not feel
Yeah.
not develop any intolerances to gluten or something like that either.
Yeah. Yeah. I would agree.
Yeah, but at the same time, if you do a cyclical ketogenic diet on a consistent basis, then you're gonna have some of the keto flu all the time, which is gonna suck as well. The next day.
Yeah. If you're doing cheat meals every week or every 2 weeks, that could be the case. And everybody responds differently. I mean, I can get away with it easily. I'm very insulin sensitive. I can tolerate carbs, but like I said before, if you're on the other end of the spectrum and you're insulin resistant, if you even look at carbs, you get fat, then it's a little bit of a different story. So
yeah, like I remember one of your recent videos was actually about how you did have this cheat day, and you got kicked out of ketosis. Like, can you tell us a little bit about that? What happened? Like how your body reacted?
Yeah, it was quite interesting. I'd been keto for 55 days in a row. My body had obviously made all the adaptations. I've been doing this for a long time, so I'm pretty keto adapted, I guess. And I had a cheat meal. It was one of those situations where I was going to a dinner party that the host said, "Hey, you're not even going to be able to do keto. We're not making a keto meal, so I'm just giving you a heads up." So I just bit the bullet and said, "Fine, I'll enjoy myself, have some wine, have some pasta, whatever." And I felt a little bit bummed out. I'd gone so long and now I have my cheat meal. But the next day I measured my ketones and I was still very much in ketosis and didn't even knock me out. And I was good.
You're very good.
That's quite interesting.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm saying. The longer you go, the more adapted you get, then the less effect those carbs have when you eat them. And just to clarify, when you do eat carbs, it's not being stored as fat. I think people get misled because you get the water bloat, the inflammation, you feel like crap. But all that stuff is going to muscle glycogen, all the carbs. You'd have to really blow it out of the water in order to start storing that stuff as fat. But nonetheless.
Yeah, exactly. Like I really even recall from my own cyclical ketogenic diet days that you could even eat some, I don't know, 500 grams of carbs or even more.
Yeah.
Not all of that goes into your muscles and gets used.
Well, your body can store 500 grams of carbs as glycogen. So, it's like a gas tank. So, I mean, if you sit there and eat 100 grams of carbs, it's going to fill up that gas tank. But like I said, so that's going to the muscle cells. But after that gas tank gets topped off, if you continue to eat carbs, they will be stored in fat cells.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but people don't really, the perception is when they wake up in the morning and they feel like they spent all day at the bar the night before, then none of that stuff matters. They feel like crap. You get the water and the water retention, the inflammation, all that stuff. So,
yeah.
But anyways.
I also transitioned over to the targeted ketogenic diet myself. Have you heard about it? Have you heard about it?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, absolutely. Just to clarify for your viewers, there's 3 different ways of doing keto. There's strict keto, which they use for medical applications and people, who are trying to reverse diabetes, lose significant amount of weight. And then there's the targeted ketogenic diet where you take in a certain amount of carbs before a workout to fuel performance. It's used by a lot of athletes and obviously you yourself. Then there's the cyclical approach, which in my opinion is used mostly for ease of just to be able to kind of live a regular lifestyle and have your carbs every once in a while. So how are you liking the targeted approach?
I'm loving it, because it allows me to maintain the mental clarity of ketosis and the low carb eating all the time. You don't get the keto flu, you don't get the carb bloat either, in a sense, and you get to boost your performance with those very small dose of carbs at the same time. So I'm loving it.
Yeah, and so the idea is you're taking in the carbs, but your body is utilizing them right away, so they don't even get a chance to be stored. And so since you're working out, you're burning off all that glucose right there on the spot. What kind of carbs are you using before your workout?
I try to stick to some of the more natural natural, like easy to digest the high glycemic carbs, like a ripe banana or some dates or some. I used to do some dextrose powder, but at the moment I'm kind of skipping it because
Yeah, I
I
wouldn't
would
do that.
still want to get the micronutrients from the banana or something like that.
Exactly. Stick with real food. Oh, that's interesting, man.
Yeah, have you tried something like that yourself?
No, I have not. I've not tried the targeted ketogenic diet.
Mm,
I
yeah.
don't know that I will. I don't know that I will.
Well, it's not necessary, but it's kind of this kind of a
Yeah, I mean,
jet
yeah, I
fuel
guess.
boost in a sense.
Yeah, I can't really say. I've never tried it, but I don't know. I kind of, for me, I'm like a all or nothing type of guy too. Like I don't know if I'd be able to mentally be able to take in carbs every day before my workout, and I just kind of, like to keep it clean. I'm either keto or having a cheat meal, one or the other.
Yeah, exactly. Keto is so simple and,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
stupidly
So,
effective.
yeah, exactly. Very good, man.
And speaking of being effective, you've worked with a ton of clients and you've helped them to achieve their physique goals as well.
Hmm.
But like, what are some of the most common problems or mistakes you see people make?
I would say panicking when the scale doesn't move.
Mm.
I would say plateaus. And I think, you know, when I first started working with clients 2 years ago, there was no real huge expectations. They were just like, okay, this is working and this is good. But then as the diet became more and more popular, more and more people started doing it, more and more people started sharing their stories on YouTube. And it was like people were saying, yo, I started keto and grew wings and flew. I mean, you hear all kinds of crazy testimonials about how
Mm.
amazing the diet is, how much weight people are losing, how they did this and that. So for somebody new starting the diet, their expectations are through the roof.
Yeah.
They think this is going to take 2 weeks and they're going to be a completely different person. And so managing those expectations has become harder and harder. And then, like I said, when the scale is not your friend on this diet because you're able to maintain lean muscle, which is one of the other reasons why I do this diet. So that scale, as you know, is very fickle. It doesn't really move like if I just starved my clients to death, that scale is going to move, but they're going to lose muscle and fat, and that's not the goal.
And you won't have clients soon, so.
Yeah, exactly. You won't have any. I've been there. You won't have any clients anymore. And so it's very much. That's why I very much tout it's all about the journey, and you got to make it a lifestyle because some people have to hold on for longer than others before they see the results. So I think just the mental game is my main focus when it comes to working with people is just managing expectations, keeping them strong, persistent, and committed. And
it's actually a lot easier on keto because you lose the sugar cravings, you reduce your appetite, and it's so easy actually.
You're balanced.
Yeah, exactly. You actually regain your clarity, you regain your sanity as well in a sense. You get
it's like a fog is lifted over your eyes. Like you're just like I can see clearly now.
Exactly. Get pulled out of the matrix.
Yeah.
So,
oh, man.
but what would you recommend for someone who has maybe had like a cheat day, they fall off the wagon? How could they get back on track as fast as possible?
It depends on why they started and how strong that reason is, the why. I find most people that do this for themselves have an easier time getting back after a fall, but those who do it for other people, their reason is because I want so-and-so to look at me this way. I want to be accepted by this crowd. I want to be, this, all that. I find they have a harder time getting back. The people that are like, I'm doing this for me. I'm changing my own life for me, and understanding that, shit happens.
Exactly.
Nobody's perfect. Nobody's trying to be perfect. It's, you just got to forget it ever happened and keep walking forward.
Exactly. Just keep going. But you yourself, you're doing keto and you're training hard at the same time, and you don't have a ton of fat to lose. So, do you recommend the same dietary and training advice to someone who is obese or struggling with weight?
Yes. Well, I mean, I don't necessarily say they have to work out like me and do the same things I do. Any type of workout is effective, but yeah, just because I'm not obese doesn't mean that a person who is obese shouldn't do what I'm doing. Most of my recommendations and teachings and things come from a place of I know what's affecting other people. I don't like, do you know what I mean? I try and I'm not giving people, I'm not saying this is what's working for me exactly, so you should go do this. I say, well, I understand most people, most people are this way. Like, for example, I could eat all the carbs I want, to be completely honest with you and your viewers. I'm genetically blessed to where I can sit and eat all kinds of carbs and I won't get fat.
Yeah, vascular.
But does that mean I'm going to go out and tell other people, hey, you can eat, carbs aren't bad. You can eat all the carbs you want. Look at me. I don't get fat. It's, don't believe all the stuff you hear and all this. So
yeah,
I can get away with a lot of stuff that but I choose not to. And so, yeah, I don't care if you're obese, 20 pounds overweight, 10 pounds overweight, you don't have any weight to lose whatsoever. The ketogenic diet is still the most effective diet on earth.
Yeah, the reason I ask you this was because you did this crazy 4,000 calorie keto challenge for 21 days as well. Can you tell us like what happened?
So I decided to take in 4,000 I only weigh about 150 pounds. I don't know what that is in kilograms, but and I decided to take in 4,000 calories every single day for 21 straight days. I've vlogged it all on YouTube. You can go see it. And I lost 2 pounds. That's, and it was pretty remarkable. It wasn't really what I expected. Yeah. There were a lot of things that came out of it. It was a social experiment. I don't recommend anybody else try that though. I'm not saying you're going to lose weight by eating 4,000 calories, but for some reason I did. It was a big learning lesson. It was very interesting. I think the most important thing was I was taking in 400 grams of fat a day. So it wasn't just the 4,000 calories. It was the fact that I was eating 400 grams of fat a day. The average American gets 30. And I didn't gain a bunch of weight. I didn't die. I felt better than ever. I had more energy than ever because I was taking in more calories. My body was simply reciprocating with more energy. And, it raised a lot of questions in the community. It raised a lot of questions amongst researchers, all these different people. Some other people on YouTube have tried to duplicate it. But I think one of the biggest takeaways for me and from that experiment was the effect protein has when you're trying to lose weight. Had I done that, so my initial goal was to do the challenge at 75% fat, 20% protein, 5% carbs, which is the standard percentages for a ketogenic diet. I quickly realized that 20% of my calories from protein would have meant I had to eat 200 grams of protein a day. That's more than 1 pound per body weight, per pound of body weight, or 1 gram, I should say. That's 200 grams of protein. And I was like, that's going to be bad because protein spikes insulin. Essentially, I'd still be spiking insulin all day long if I had to take that much in. So throughout the challenge, I really kept my protein down closer to 10% to minimize the insulin spikes. And I think that was the key factor in why I actually didn't gain weight.
It comes to show like that the hormonal adaptations, those are actually a lot more detrimental for that.
Yeah, it's not, trust me, it's not the quantity of food you eat, it's the quality of food you eat and the effect that food has on your hormones.
Yeah.
I wish it was as easy as calories in, calories out, brother. Trust me, because then all I'd have to do is come on YouTube and just tell everybody to eat less and do my workout program and work out like me.
Yeah.
How easy would that be? And that's what a lot of and then I just come up with some ridiculous formula to tell you guess how many calories I think you should have a day. And if you come to me and you say, I'm not getting results, I'm just going to cut your calories. I'm just going to say, well, you must be eating too much food then, bro. Yeah, you must be. Are you doing my workout program? Are you doing it hard enough? Are you working out twice a day? You got to be like me. And unfortunately, that's the easy way to go about it. The hard way is explaining the truth to people, because it requires you to understand insulin, blood sugar, different types of foods and how they affect blood sugar. And and a lot of people don't have time. They don't want to go through that. They just want to tell people, guys like me, they just want to tell people to go buy their damn workout program and eat less. So I'll take the road harder traveled, and I'm fine with that.
Yeah. But how has your macronutrients been adjusted after that? What macros do you eat at the moment?
I don't have macros. I have percentages.
Mm-hmm.
I don't count calories. I don't count grams. So my guiding star is the pie chart in MyFitnessPal, or the percentages. So I stay between 70 and 80% fat, no matter how many calories I eat. At the end of the day, I make sure that my fat is around 70 to 80%. I make sure my protein is around 10 to 20%. And I make sure my carbs are around 5 to 10%. I never exceed 50 grams of total carbs a day,
Mm.
no matter how many calories. So if I eat 4,000 calories, as long as I stay within that ratio, I'm good. If I eat 1,500 calories, same thing. I just look at that pie chart, and as long as I'm within those ratios, I'm good, because I know that protein spikes insulin, so I keep it down 10 to 20%. I know that carbs spike insulin, so I keep that down 5 to 10%. I can eat all the fat I want, basically, because fat doesn't spike insulin, so I'm good on that.
Mm.
And I don't stress about any of it. I don't weigh my food. I don't,
Yeah.
I just, it's so much. It's, for me, in my opinion, it's the easiest and quickest way to make it a lifestyle. And to be honest, I don't track every day either.
Mm-hmm.
Tracking is like learning how to dance,
Yeah.
and you're counting steps off in your head, 1, 2, and all of a sudden you got to get yourself to a point to where you can dance freely without counting steps in your head. And so that's what I've done. I know for a fact that at the end of the day today, I will be within those ratios. I don't have to track. I can use the force, as they say.
Eye is the force.
And if
Like-
I ever get off track, or I'm like, something doesn't feel right, I'll go back to tracking for a day or two. I'll count the steps off in my head again.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's a good metaphor you gave us. Like, I myself am quite similar. Like, at first, I would imagine you would want to count some of your food, just to make sure that you're getting the right percentages. But
Yep.
after that, you develop this intuitive sense and
Mm-hmm.
like intuitive idea about how much protein or how much fat does that particular food have, and you also can
Yeah.
guess it.
Yeah, because at that point, you know what kind of foods you're eating. It's not a guessing game so much anymore. You've got it down, and you can start trusting yourself and eat when you're hungry and eat until you're full. And as long as you eat the right foods, everything's going to regulate itself. That's another reason why I don't count calories. It's like, the beauty of this diet is your body can regulate itself. It'll tell you how many calories it wants as long as you feed it the right food. Like, when you can sit there and eat a plate full of pancakes, no problem. But you can't sit there and eat a plate full of steaks. Trust me. And so the body just has a way, when you feed it the right stuff, of balancing itself out. Some days you might have 1,200 calories. Some days after a hard workout, you might have 3,000. Let your body decide. And some days you might have one meal a day. Some days you might have 3 meals a day. Some days you might not have any meals at all. It all depends on what your body's telling you. And that's, I think, a point that people miss so much when they get bogged down into the details.
It allows you to get more in touch with your body.
Exactly. And it lowers stress when you do that.
Oh yeah, totally. But what about training and keto? What kind of training do you think fits the ketogenic diet the best?
I have all these studies that have recently come out with the saying that high intensity interval training is the best because it burns up glycogen the quickest, all this stuff. And I don't care about that. When I talk to somebody or I work with somebody, it's, are you working out? No. Okay, well then what do you love? What could you do? What could get you started? Walking around the park, walking your dogs, going to the park with your kids, doing at-home DVDs. You just gotta do what you love when it comes to working out. It's all bonus. Like I've said before, all your results are going to come from the diet. So when it comes to training and working out, no matter what diet you're on, any exercise is good. In my opinion, there is no like if I took a client and I was like, okay, hey, you're going to do who barely even works out, who's probably maybe not worked out at all. And I say to them, hey, well, listen, all the studies show that high intensity interval training is the best thing to do. So I know you don't have any gym experience, but here's your program. I'm going to have you go do this crazy HIIT protocol. Good luck. And there you go. And so they do it for 2 weeks. They're like, I hate this. This is not for me. And they end up quitting. And what ends up happening is they not only quit the workout, they also end up quitting the diet because it's just an all one package deal. They're just like, I feel defeated. I'm done. I'm not made for this. I'm out. So that's why I encourage anybody listening. There is no one right way to work out. Take it from me, a fitness professional that would love to sell you a program. But I understand that there are many things that you can do. There's not just my program. There's not just, you got to do CrossFit for the best results. You do whatever you love. You love doing CrossFit, go do CrossFit. As long as you do it with 100% passion and dedication, you're going to get results. So that's the way I feel about that.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of true. The fitness industry is very dogmatic in that sense.
Yes. Yeah, they're like, because everybody's trying to sell stuff. You know, and like I said, me included, I sell a workout program. You can go buy it $20, jasonwittrock.com. It's an amazing program. But can you get results doing another program? Absolutely. Do you even have to buy a program? No. Your program should just be wake up in the morning, think about what I love to do, what I feel like doing that day, and go do it. And you're going to get results from that. It's just all about continuous improvement and finding what you love.
Wow, that's powerful. But let's say if someone is trying to, how would you adjust your training if someone is trying to lose fat versus trying to build muscle? Because you can't build muscle with just jogging or
you're not going to build. Yeah, if you want to build muscle, you got to go lift weight. That you have to put stress on the muscle. You have to do resistance training. I don't believe you have to either go heavy or light. You can mix it up, do whatever you want, but you got to get in there and you got to tax the muscles. You got to give your muscles a reason to grow. And I'm a big fan of resistance training over cardio all day. I'm not a big cardio fan. I think the big misconception is, I want to lose weight, I better go run miles on the treadmill. Wrong. Trust me, wrong. You're better off going to lift the weights. So, I do stuff called Tabata. That's about the only cardio I do, which is only like 4 minutes. So, yeah, I think whether you want to build muscle or you want to lose weight, your best bet is to get in the gym and lift weights, whether you're a guy or a girl, young or old. But again, if lifting weights isn't your thing, then find what is your thing and do that. And I promise you're going to get results.
And just do it.
Yeah.
But how would you maybe adjust? Would you make any adjustments to the diet as well if you were to try to build muscle?
Well, if you're trying to build muscle and you're actually going into the gym, breaking down the muscle fibers and really taxing your system, your body will naturally demand more calories from you. So you don't really have to make the adjustment. Your body will naturally say, yo, Simlan, you're trying to build muscle over here. So we need more energy. You just expended tons at the gym. Let's eat. And as long as you listen to those signals and kind of free yourself from is this too many calories? I don't know, man. You know what I mean? Like, then you don't have to make any adjustments. Your body will do it for you. Keep eating the right foods. Keep feeding it what it wants, and you'll be good.
Good.
Let's now maybe talk about some supplements as well. You probably tried a lot of different brands, both before and after your ketogenic journey. And we all know that, the fitness industry, they try to sell you a ton of magic powders and ingredients that you don't really need. So, but what are some of the key supplements that definitely work and could benefit everyone's physique goals?
Creatine monohydrate. If you are really active and working out, it's used for ATP, like energy production. It goes a long way if you're really trying to build muscle. BCAAs, I think, are essential as well in that regard. Also, a supplement called leucine, which is actually contained in BCAAs. I think leucine is important if you're trying to lift weights and develop your body in the gym. That triggers protein synthesis. So that's why that's important. I like omega-3 fish oils. Another key one is magnesium. It's a critical electrolyte on this diet. I don't take potassium supplements. I think here in America, they're kind of a scam. Because you're only allowed to get 99 milligrams per dose when you need 4,000. 99 doesn't go very far. And in terms of essentials, that's what I think are essential. You can take a multivitamin if you want. You can also take a fiber supplement if you want. If you have problems with bowel movements and things, taking a fiber supplement, something like psyllium husk is good. But you can take some B vitamin as well. not necessarily essential, but so those are the things that kind of pop up in my head as the standard supplements. But
yeah, I think like everyone has to still focus on the real foods, getting the micronutrients from your actual food intake.
yes, 100%, absolutely. Supplements aren't going to save your life. Food is.
And one of the common reasons why people get the keto flu is potassium deficiencies. Like you mentioned, like you need a ton of potassium every single day. Like, how do you make sure that you get enough potassium in your diet?
So like you said, the number one reason why people fail on this diet is the lack of electrolytes. So there's 3 electrolytes. There's sodium, potassium, and magnesium. So you asked about potassium. You need about 4,000 milligrams of potassium a day, which is a lot. I always make sure, I think the best source of potassium is an avocado. That has about 1,000 milligrams. So I always have at least 1 avocado a day. You can get potassium from green leafy vegetables as well. You can get them from almonds. And then here in America, they sell like a fake salt that is basically like potassium salt. So you can sprinkle that on your food and that'll increase your potassium levels. When it comes to sodium, which in my opinion is the number one reason why people fail, sodium levels, if they go, so when you're on keto, you're suppressing insulin, which allows you to burn fat. That's a good thing. The problem, though, is insulin is also the hormone that tells your kidneys to store sodium. So when the kidneys don't get that signal, they flush sodium out, especially when you work out. It just multiplies. If your sodium levels go down, so do you. And if you don't know about the sodium levels and you go down, you just blame the diet. You're just like, oh, this diet sucks, and I feel like crap. I have a headache. I'm tired. I can't even get out of bed. They think it's the diet, but it's not. It's the sodium. So I always salt my food. I eat salty snacks. I'll take salt, put it on the back of my tongue, and just swish it down.
Delicious.
You can also do chicken broth. You need about 4,000 milligrams of sodium a day. Here in the United States, the government recommends we take in 2,000. So you need to double it because you're not getting excess sodium. And magnesium plays a critical role in like every metabolic function there is. I recommend you take a magnesium supplement. You need about 400 to 500 milligrams. They sell magnesium over the counter in pharmacies, and you just go pick one of those up and you'll be good.
I heard an avocado a day keeps the doctor away.
Exactly. Yes, that's right.
It's one of
Hey, where do you live? Simlan, where do you live again?
I'm in Estonia, in the Baltics, Northern Europe, Baltics. Near Finland.
All right, man.
Finland. So yeah, we definitely have to make sure that we also get our vitamin D in particular. It's one of the, in these parts of the world, we don't get that much sunlight even during the summer. So it's one of those crucial micros we have to get.
So you can take one of those. That's a good thing to add to the supplement list then.
Yeah.
The vitamin D supplement. That's cool. Is the diet becoming more and more popular in your homeland?
Well, I would say there isn't any public awareness about it. There's still like the emerging movement of paleo and things like that. So we're kind of moving towards it. And,
you guys are just a little bit behind then.
Yeah, and
paleo's over in the United States.
Yeah, paleo.
No, it's not. It's not over. It's just and I hope the same thing doesn't happen to keto that happened to paleo. But I don't think there is. I think it's a natural progression of diets. First, you had Atkins. Here, have you heard of Atkins?
Yeah.
Millions of people changed their life with that. And what's at the root of that? Cutting carbs.
Exactly.
That was it. That was the whole premise of the Atkins diet, was cutting carbs. That's why it worked for so many people. Unfortunately, they didn't increase the fat, and so a lot of them couldn't stick on it long term. Then you had paleo, which kind of went back to clean eating and all that stuff, which a lot of people got results from, but people who needed to lose weight still weren't getting results with paleo because it still allows you to eat starchy carbs and fruit. And then naturally, so everybody kind of faded off of that, and then now enter keto. And I don't think anything's gonna replace keto. Like if you talk about the progression of diets, I honest to God don't see anything, because I'm always looking for the next best diet. Trust me, my whole life has been spent trying to find the best diet. I literally feel like I found the holy grail of diets and everything else is inferior, and there's no way anything's going to pop up that's going to be better than keto.
Yeah, and it's true because the Atkins and Paleo, they're still just low carb diets.
Yeah.
You're still running on a sugar burning engine, without switching over to ketosis.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody who's listening to this needs to understand. You will not lose weight unless you cut carbs. Period. End of story. No negotiations. That's all there is to it. There's multiple ways to cut the carbs. You can just simply reduce them. You can do what's called carb backloading, which means you take in carbs at the end of the day, stay in fat burning mode all day. You can do. There's been cyclical carb cycling. There's all these different ways of skinning the cat. And that's why paleo is amazing, is because it's the easiest way to cut carbs. But you must cut carbs. You must stop eating bread, cereal, pasta, bagels, sugary drinks. All that stuff is
Pop-Tarts.
causing your body. Pop-Tarts, yeah, all that stuff. So at the root of all of these successful diets is carb restriction.
And insulin.
Yeah, because carbs spike insulin, and insulin is the fat storage hormone. The name of the game is keep your blood sugar under control so that you can control insulin. If you control insulin, you control fat accumulation. Period.
In some situations, it can be useful, but it's for the vast majority of people, it's too much for them to handle.
Yeah, you need insulin. Insulin is a survival hormone. Insulin is essentially when you eat food, it gets turned into glucose, like carbs, and your blood sugar goes up. If your blood sugar gets too high, you freaking die. So insulin is a defense mechanism. It says, yo, we got all this sugar in the bloodstream. We got to take this out. Yeah. So and insulin gets secreted no matter what you eat. It's just how much insulin is coming out. You know what I mean? Like it's not never spike insulin. It's don't spike your insulin through the roof 5-6 times a day.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy when you understand the basic physiology of it. Then it makes perfect sense. But it's it's been
it's hard to explain to people though. It's difficult, and everybody just wants to go back to that default. It's just calories in, calories out, because
because I want to have my cereal in the morning.
Because that, and I just don't have time to understand all this stuff. It's very simple. You eat carbs, they turn to sugar. They raise your blood. All of a sudden, all that stuff goes into your bloodstream. As a result, your pancreas says, we got to get this out of here. So it secretes insulin. Insulin takes that glucose and it shoves it inside fat cells. It literally stores fat. Here's the other thing about insulin. When you have high levels of insulin in your bloodstream, it is impossible to burn fat. Why? Because insulin is trying to store fat. Yeah. It's trying to get glucose inside the cell. So at the same time, it prevents fat from leaving the cell. So if you eat cereal, up goes your blood sugar, out comes insulin, and you are now stuck in fat storage mode for hours. I don't care if you go run a marathon, you're not going to burn fat, you're just going to burn carbs.
Yeah, like you mentioned before, that the secret to losing body fat is lowering carbs and suppressing insulin, which is true, because you can lose weight, but you can't. You can lose weight but still stay fat because you're burning sugar and glucose.
Exactly. You can, and just so everybody understands the end of all of this. If you continue to eat carbs, you spike your blood sugar, you spike insulin, it all comes crashing down, then you do it again 3 hours later, and kids especially are vulnerable for this, and you keep doing it over and over and over. Eventually, you're going to eat that bowl of cereal one day, and your blood sugar is going to go through the roof, and your pancreas is going to say, you know what, man, we're done. Like the abuse is over, and it will stop producing insulin. That, my friend, is when you get diabetes. Yeah. Now you're diabetic and you have to inject insulin every time you eat food. Yeah. Because your pancreas just,
I can't do it.
You're just abusing it. And like I said, kids are especially. I have a 1.5-year-old, and it's alarming how many carbs and sugary products are marketed towards kids, and they're just absolutely everywhere. And so that's why kids in the United States are getting diabetes at like 12 years old. 30 years ago, 40 years ago, 50 years ago, it was unheard of for a kid to have diabetes. Yeah. Now we've got a big problem on our hands.
It's like a coming generation of obese
individuals. Pancreases are shutting down all across America.
In 5,
Yeah, we have to develop some artificial intelligence to
Oh man,
build
hopefully,
some pancreas
yeah.
implants or something like that.
Yeah, no kidding, man. I got to get in that game. It's a tough game to play. You know,
Mm.
some people are going to listen, they're going to change their life, and some people are going to just tell me I'm absolutely crazy. And you know, most people who go and start this diet, they go out and they tell their friends about it, and and their friends are like, oh yeah, 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 you're crazy. Um,
Yeah,
it's not crazy. And I think 10 years from now, I mean, look where we're at with only 2 years, really. 10
yeah,
years from now, I think people are really, I think a lot of these sugar industry stuff, a lot of these big food companies, they're having a harder time lying to people.
mm.
You know, like
Because yeah,
it's,
with social media and things like that, we get
yeah,
more
social
knowledge about it.
media and yeah, and all these new scientists and researchers who are like, you know what, man, what they did 34, because, you know, here in the United States, 30, 40 years ago, it was the most corrupt thing ever. You had sugar, the sugar industry was basically just paying scientists and researchers to come out with all this bogus stuff,
Yeah,
saying that bacon is, you know, worse than cigarettes and you shouldn't eat the egg yolk because it's going to clog your arteries and we had what's called the food pyramid.
mm.
Have you heard of the food pyramid?
Yeah, I heard of it.
Yeah, we had that here in the United States for about 50 years. And at the bottom of the food pyramid, what they wanted you to do was eat 60 to 70% of your carbs or of your calories from carbs.
Mm. From
And then
grains.
at the very top, yeah, grains. So yeah, you know why? Is because that stuff is cheap. And when you
Exactly.
have to feed a huge population, you're going to have to do it on some cheap stuff. You can't, you know what I mean? You got to convince
Exactly.
people to eat. Yeah, you got to convince people to, you know, when they fly over third world countries, poor countries that are devastated by, you know, famine and things, they drop food out of an airplane. What do you think they're dropping?
Grains, rice.
Cheap carbs.
Exactly. Which is kind of crazy because that's gonna put them into a more starvation state.
Yeah, they're just, I mean, it's better than nothing, obviously, in that situation. But
Obviously,
my point is, like, carbs are cheap for a reason. Fat is expensive for a reason.
especially protein as well is quite expensive.
Yeah, yeah. But to tell the United States, to tell the American people here that you need to have 70% of your calories from bread, cereal, pasta, bagels, and rice is what got us in this situation.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Everybody listen to that advice, and now look at us. But I know you guys over there are much healthier than us over here.
Well, yeah. Fortunately, yeah, we haven't had this kind of a
Yeah.
period of indoctrination.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. I don't think you guys didn't. We had like the low fat craze here in the United States. Big
mm,
business. This country's run by businesses, and so, you know, and
yeah.
people are stupid.
But
That's all there is to it.
but where do you think this keto thing is going in the future?
Um, I think there's a lot of promise in the medical community. I think that's where the biggest impact is going to be. You know, if they keep curing cancer with this stuff, if a lot of this Alzheimer's research stuff using the ketogenic diet for that keeps coming out, and you got people that are still like me and you who are just doing our best in our own little way to kind of keep spreading the word, I think the movement's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. I think it's going to be about 30 years before it's actually if it has a chance of becoming a mainstream thing. I think it's going to take about 30 or 40 years.
Wow.
Because that's about how long it took for us to get in this mess. You know what I mean? Like you can't just you can't just wake everybody up with a snap of a finger. Like, hey, you've been lied to for the past 40 years.
I'm actually kind of more optimistic than you are because
Are you? Good.
I think like we're already developing, commercially available exogenous ketones and things like that. So I think like
That's true.
I would say like maybe 2020 it's gonna be the thing. Not like the mainstream advice because the government is still trying to fight back at it. But I think like it's gonna be like a very common thing.
Yeah, I mean, the numbers are going to continue to swell, no doubt about it. I was thinking in my head where the majority of people in America, I should say, when the majority of people say, we know carbs are bad and it's not just calories in, calories out, it's carbs that are killing us and making us fat, that's going to be a lot longer. But I think the keto
Well, yeah.
movement's going to keep getting bigger and bigger. By 2020, it's going to be double, triple. But there's 300 million people in this country, and
Yeah, like
you know,
there's a difference between theory and practice. Of course, you can say that
yeah,
carbs are bad, but
Yeah.
there are still millions of people who want to eat their pizzas and donuts.
Yeah, and who just haven't gotten the news. They don't go on YouTube. You know what I mean? They don't you know, they don't even get on the damn internet. They're just sitting at home eating their bread and butter, and they think the butter's going to make them fat, not the bread.
Yeah. Yeah, and could you imagine the revolution in the restaurant business as well? You know, like skip the bread, double the butter.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's hilarious. Yeah, forever.
I was actually starting to ask my final questions from you as well.
All right.
What would you give someone? What advice would you give someone who wants to improve both their body and mind?
Set a realistic vision for yourself in your head. Like, really try and visualize what your potential is. Don't compare your potential to my potential or anybody else's. I believe everybody has potential. Mm-hmm. And your goal in life, my goal in life, is to take action towards reaching my full potential. Mm-hmm. And for that, you need confidence. Mm-hmm. And I think that, you know, and I also feel like people that are listening to this have probably tried a bunch of different things to lose weight and they have failed. Right. I think you should go into this ketogenic diet if you do decide to start it and forget about all your other failures, because this is a completely different story. This is something that you can do, you can achieve. It's easy. And it's going to help you, you know, mentally and physically. But just take action, just get into it. If you're sitting here wondering, hey, I wonder if I should start this diet, the only way to find out is to just do it. Yeah. Just do it, learn as you go, make it your own. And you'll be set free. But for just keep marching towards your full potential and realize that you have potential. I think I see so many people, I work with so many people, and I look at them and I'm very quick. I can very easily assess somebody else's potential. Anytime I see a before picture that's sent to me, I don't sit there and look at the picture and try and visualize that picture. I visualize what I think that person can look like, what I think their potential is. And so every time you look in the mirror, that's what I suggest you do. Keep visualizing and what you can look like, what the possibilities are for you, and be optimistic about it. And don't lose hope. That's my advice.
Nice. It's powerful, you know, to keep going.
Yeah.
And where can people find more about you and your work?
So you can follow me on YouTube, Jason Wittrock. My last name is Wittrock. I'm also on Instagram. You can go to my website, jasonwittrock.com.
Nice.
And I've got a very exciting program launch. I can't tell you much about, maybe off the record, but that's going to be launching here soon. So make sure you follow me to get news on that.
Wow, got us hooked already. Excited about
the next step is coming.
Exactly, evolution.
Yeah, that's right. But I appreciate you, Simland. You're this is what I like the most, is people like you who are just out trying to spread the word, changing lives, speaking the truth, and for that, I commend you, man.
Thanks. Okay, thanks, Jason, for coming on to the show. I really enjoyed talking with you. If you haven't already, then make sure you leave us a review and other social media platforms. Share it with a friend and to spread the message of body mind empowerment. Thanks for listening. Stay tuned for the next episode. My name is Seem. Stay ketotic, stay empowered.